In this episode of Pop Culture Weekly, it's all about the brand new limited series on FX, Clipped, with Ed O'Neill, Jacki Weaver, Cleopatra Coleman, and the brand new film, All That We Love, featuring Margaret Cho and Jesse Tyler Ferguson. Can't wait to talk to all of them. Let's go!
Welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon from iHeartRadio. Your pop culture news, views, reviews, and celebrity interviews on all the movies, TV, music, and pop culture you crave weekly. Here's Kyle McMahon.
Hello, welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon. I, of course, am Kyle McMahon, and I am so glad that you are here to hang out with me for another episode of Pop Culture Weekly. I do not have this show without you. You make this show happen every single week. You make it grow every single week, and I love you for it. I love talking to you on social media and email and all the other places you reach out to me and talking, pop culture and movies and music and TV and streaming and technology and everything else. You are awesome. Thank you. So today's episode, I'm really excited because there's two sets of interviews that we're doing. One is on the brand new limited series on FX called Clipped, and I talk with the cast and crew, including Ed O'Neill, who doesn't love Al Bundy, and of course Modern Family and everything else, Jacki Weaver, Cleopatra Coleman. I talk with the behind-the-scenes creatives, Gina Welch, Rembert Brown, and Kevin Bray, all about the series and why now is the time to tell the story of Donald Sterling and the Clippers. Then, in the second half, there's a brand new film debuting at Tribeca that is incredible. It's called All That We Love, and it stars Margaret Cho and Modern Family's Jesse Tyler Ferguson. It is funny. It is profound. It deals with loss and love and relationships and the ripples that happen when we lose someone or something that we love, in this case, a dog. So lots of great stuff this episode. Let's get right into it. We'll start with Clipped on FX. So Clipped takes you behind the scenes of the notorious Donald Sterling, who was an NBA owner that owned the Clippers, and the racist remarks that were captured on tape and ended up being heard around the world. It's based on the hit podcast ESPN 30 for 30, The Sterling Affairs. So this series charts the collision between the dysfunctional basketball organization and an even less functional marriage, and the tape's impact on a whole host of characters striving to win against the backdrop of the most cursed team in the league. So Doc Rivers, who is a famous coach of the Clippers, is played by Lawrence Fishburne, and he's very hopeful to win the franchise's first championship. Of course, the team's owner, Donald Sterling, who is played by Ed O'Neill, is a well-known problem because he's cheap, a bully, and he's erratic. Then there is V. Stiviano, played by Cleopatra Coleman, who's amazing, and his wife and business partner of 60 years, Shelley, who's played by Jacki Weaver. Love her. So it is really, the original podcast, ESPN 30 for 30, Sterling Affairs, is amazing. It's based on that. The acting in this is awesome. We all know how it ends, but I didn't know a lot of the intricacies of the story. So we're going to jump right into it. First up, we're talking to executive producer and creator and showrunner Gina Welch, along with director Kevin Bray and writer Rembert Brown. So let's jump right into that conversation. Here they are, Gina Welch, Rembert Brown, and Kevin Bray. So first of all, I love Clipped. It is really great. It's all of the things, and I can't wait for everybody to see it. I have to know, obviously this was a big story when it happened. What drew all of you to telling this tale for the screen? Kevin, I don't know if you wanted to start.
Okay, sure. The story was intriguing to me. The story was very important to me as a transplant from New York to Los Angeles. These things kind of enraged me, as they should. But when I really started circling it in present time, and it was presented to me, The writing, what Gina wrote, and her approach to it was fantastic, and I couldn't say no. And then ultimately finding connective tissue in my own personal life. The character of Doc reminded me of men in my family. My father being involved in the civil rights movement in the 60s, and then my grandfather being involved in born in Chicago and moving to Detroit and working with Ralph Bunche and a lot of civil rights activists from the NAACP. So there was something about Doc's circumstance that reminded me of a lot of the men in my family and friends of my father, Black men of the 20th century who were trying to move up and who were always bristling against this kind of embedded bigotry and racism in the country. Yeah.
For me, I mean, I love a crazy LA story about ambitious people who are ultimately doomed. And then it was also, I thought, a really great way of looking at, the costs of living and working and trying to be generous to one another under the ownership of, a toxic, racist, incompetent buffoon.
I got an email from Gina, and it was like one of the best emails I've ever gotten. But yeah, I covered, I wrote about Sterling in 2014 as a journalist, and so it was, not just lived through it, but had dedicated a lot of mental space about what this whole thing meant for the country, for individuals, for the players, for the fans, all of that. So, this is my first TV show I worked on, from beginning to end. And so I can't think of a better subject matter and group of people to be able to do this with, because there was a level of really wanting to get this right in terms of taking people back to 2014. And it was a very online time of my life. And so I felt very capable to, raise my hand and make sure that the things that we were doing felt, right for the time, both the basketballness of it and the kind of internet super onlineness of it all.
Yeah. I love, your take on that. And for me, same, I was very online time of my life. I was not, I've never been a big sports fan. I've been a big movie buff and I played soccer and stuff. But when that story broke, I was glued, online, because I'm like, what, how, and it kind of shocked me into, paying attention. And how could this, how is this happening? And I was glued. And so, I think unfortunately sometimes things like this, it takes something like this for people in certain circles to pay attention, and see, wow, even in what I would consider, this upper echelon of society with, NBA players and owners and all that, there's this systemic almost, problems that still have not gone away. Do you, as you're working on the project, this is for all of you as well, I hate to say it as bluntly as Donald is a villain, but are you able to humanize somebody like that as you're working on a project like this?
I mean, I think in the writing and in the performance, you always have to render the point of view of any character with sort of respect for the character's humanity. And so I think when we were writing Donald, we had a lot of documents to sort of build his point of view on, obviously. But then you have to write him as somebody who he believes he's doing good in the world, and he's not anyone who's used to being told no. Mm. And so, and I think to the extent that we're attaching ourselves to his humanity, it's through his insecurity. I think he's a very insecure man. And certainly I think Ed plays him with abundant humanity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think, you find, I think about even in the scene where he comes for the Barbara Walters interview, there's there's sympathy built in the worst behavior. You could look at it from a perspective where you have some sympathy for him.
Yes. Thank you all. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
I can't wait for everybody to see Clipped on FX.
Thanks
you so
very
much.
Thank you.
Like
Gina Welch, Rembrandt Brown, and Kevin Bray. Love to hear the behind the scenes stories of why, art exists. And in this case, it's very interesting to hear how Clipped came to be. So, all right, next up, we've got the 3 stars. Cleopatra Coleman is amazing as V. She, of course, is Deborah Bloodaxe in Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, and Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scar Giver. And she's incredible as V. Jacki Weaver. I love Jacki Weaver. She is a iconic actress that has been working since the 60s on the screen, the silver screen, and the stage. Of course, she's been in Silver Linings Playbook, Father Stew, Picnic at Hanging Rock, and more. But my favorite roles of hers are in the horror movies like Haunt, Bird Box, and The Grudge. So excited to talk with her. And Ed O'Neill, who has numerous iconic roles. Of course, Al Bundy, Married with Children. Jay Pritchett in Modern Family, where he won 4 Screen Actors Guild Awards and was nominated for 3 Primetime Emmy Awards. So let's jump right in to my interview with the Clipped cast. Here's Cleopatra Coleman, Jacki Weaver, and Ed O'Neill.
Hi, Kyle.
So Clipped is, first of all, absolutely amazing. I can't wait for everybody to see it. I have to ask, all 3 of you, do you find it as actors, is it difficult when you're playing characters that are real, characters that exist? Do you find as actors that is different, or are you able to separate that? How does that work for each of you?
Well, you have to say to yourself, first of all, this is not a documentary. This is a piece of fiction based on real facts. And therefore you could make yourself. I did try to look like her and sound like her. I did quite a bit of research, and I played her voice every day before I went on set because, I'm Australian. I don't sound remotely like Shelley, but I don't think you have to do that, but we did do that. You have to keep saying someone's made this story up and it's just based on real facts. If you want the absolute real facts, watch a documentary. That's my feeling.
I love that. How about for you, Ed?
Yeah, I think that's very close to my feelings as well. I mean, I think that, you want to get an approximation of the guy, but I never met him. I don't know much about him. I did find out a few things. But you're basically working in the script. You go scene to scene. Every day you come in, you've got a piece of work you have to do. And with the help of the director and your other actors, you figure out that scene. And then, of course, the writing is constructed so at the end of the shoot, it all comes together and makes the story. So it's piecemeal.
Mm.
And I would agree. Yeah, I think like Jacki and Ed said, you kind of have to make a decision about how you're going to view this. I think at first it's like, okay, this is a real person. What research can I do? But then it's the same as any acting job. It's the same job. It's the same process, which is like getting to know this person. What are their motivations and how am I going to play it in this scene and that scene and this scene? So for me, I tried not to look at V as much through the lens of the scandal. I obviously studied the Barbara Walters interview and stuff like that. But I tried to just look at her as a character on the page.
Mm. And V, going the opposite way now, Cleopatra, do you feel, as you're doing any character, but especially V, do you feel, are you able to connect with them kind of, in your role, you're kind of a whistleblower in some ways. Do you feel that connection with, knowing, as you've described now, that you're able to separate it into this character that you're playing? Do you still feel that connection with the character that you are now playing on from the page rather than from the headlines? You know what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah, that I do know what you're saying, and that was the choice that I had to make, was to sort of not look at it through that lens as much as it's a big part of the story. But that's done for me in the writing. My job was to really find as many honest moments I could in playing this character and explore her motivations, explore, really what she wanted and find her humanity. And my way to do that is always through compassion, whether I'm playing someone likable or not. It's not really the point, but, it's to sort of find something that you can understand, even if they're very different from you as an actor. That's our job, you know?
Ed, for you, you've played so many iconic characters, and then you have, you have Donald, who, in many ways, is not as lovable as some of your other characters. Is that enjoyable for you to kind of have that variety? Is it?
It can be.
Okay.
It can be, but I mean, the thing of it is, I don't I don't rehearse roles when I'm at home. I just learn the lines uninflected. And then because I really kind of think that we're not AI, there's no emotion until it happens. And we can't control emotion, really. We can fake it, but we can't control it. So I always like there's a subconscious always at work. So when you're doing a scene with another actor, sometimes that subconscious kicks in. You don't even know from where. And that's the fun of it for me.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I call the magic of it. You just allow that to happen. And sometimes very surprising results will occur. And I like that. Sometimes nothing, but it's not a robot thing,
Yeah, I love that. And Jacki, and for you, first of all, I love all of your work, but especially your horror work. I'm a huge horror fan. So, but you've done so many interesting characters, and with Shelley, she is interesting in her own way, and very much conflicted, I feel, in this series. Do you feel that as an actor? As you're doing that, are you putting yourself into Shelley's space and kind of, do you feel that conflict as well? I'm interested in that.
We're all many layered, nobody's totally evil and nobody's totally perfect. And I think, it's in the writing, the writing was so good, because a lot of this series is imagined because nobody knows what went on behind closed doors. So Gina Welsh has done such a great job filling in the blanks with these characters so that they've got many layers, including Shelley. She seems demure and ladylike at sometimes, and then she does a block. Did they say that in America? Do you block? Oh, it means lose your temper.
Right.
There were many aspects to the character that were fun to play.
I love that. Thank you all for giving insight into these complex characters that represent all of us as complex people. I can't wait for everybody to see Clipped exclusively on FX. Thank you.
Thank
you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks. Cleopatra Coleman, Jacki Weaver, and Ed O'Neill. Love them, and I love Clipped. It is so good. It is, I'm not a huge sports fan, but it kept my attention the entire time because I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And I kind of remember this happening, playing out in the sports world. Well, not just the sports world, but kind of everywhere when it broke out. So it was cool to, see a imagining of the story for this limited series. Clipped is available exclusively on FX and, of course, FX on Hulu. So make sure you check it out. Love Clipped. All right, we're going to take a short break, 60 seconds to pay the bills. Hang with us, and I will see you in 60. All right, welcome back to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon. Thank you for sticking around and hanging out with me, for our amazing advertisers who, just like you, help to keep the show going. So I appreciate that. They appreciate that. Check out their stuff. All right. Next up, All That We Love is this pretty incredible film that debuted at the Tribeca Film Festival, and it follows Emma, played by Margaret Cho, who faces an empty nest upon the loss of her beloved dog, and she begins some feelings for her estranged ex-husband who's coming back to America, and basically is just navigating the joy and sorrow of starting anew in whatever small or large way that means. And then, of course, the ripples that go from that. You know, loss is something that I explore a lot. I have a series that I do, limited series called Death, Grief, and Other Shit We Don't Discuss, exploring my grief journey over the loss of my mom, Joanne, 3 years ago. Something I'm extremely interested in and I find fascinating. And this film, All That We Love, is such a beautiful example of how loss can both rip us apart and bring us together. Jacki Tyler Ferguson, who is always a great time, plays Stan, her best friend, and it just really, really is amazing. But FYI, I also loved Jesse in Cocaine Bear. Of course, Modern Family for 11 years or whatever it was, and love him in this as well. So let's get right into it. My interview with the one and only Margaret Cho and Jacki Tyler Ferguson. And by the way, Margaret, besides being a hysterical, groundbreaking comedian, Margaret has been in every kind of creative medium you could think of, from having her own podcast. I don't know what, that was a weird accent. From having her own podcast, The Margaret Cho, to a long list of titles in television, including All American Girl, Ghost Whisperer, Drop Dead Diva, 30 Rock, for which she was nominated for a Primetime Emmy. Aquafina is Nora from Queens, and that's just on the TV side. On the film side, geez, 17 Again, Face Off, the Rugrats movie. She's had numerous tours, numerous comedy specials. She is the one and only Margaret Cho. So let's get into my interview all about All That We Love. Here's Margaret Cho and Jacki Tyler Ferguson. All right. So first of all, thank you both so much for joining me. iHeartRadio's Pop Culture Weekly. We are discussing All That We Love, which is an incredible, I love this film so much. I have been dealing with loss and grief for the past 3 years in my life, and it came at an interesting time in my life. What does the film mean for both of you? Margaret?
I love the film too. It just really connected with me. I had a dog who I lost in a part of my life that I just wasn't ready to lose him, and it really destroyed my entire life. I think that when we lose an animal, it's hard to really talk about the trauma of that, and people trivialize it a lot. So the script really spoke to me, and it's just about a woman who loses her dog and reassesses everything in her life, including her relationship with her best friend, played by Jacki Tyler Ferguson, who's incredible in it as Stan. And so we had a great time making this film. It was really beautiful, but we also had a lot of funny memories from it. Also, just you have a bunch of comedians making a pretty serious film. It's really exciting.
Yeah. And how about for you, Jesse? What drew you to it? Besides the amazing Margaret, of course.
Well, Margaret first and foremost. But also I thought it was a really interesting study on how grief not only affects the person who is dealing with the grief, but the ripple effects of like how it affects their family and friends, and how they choose to support, but also give tough love in return. I thought it was a very, again, our director and writer did such a great job sort of capturing that sort of tricky balance of being able to grieve, but also, you know, still moving forward and taking care of the loved ones who are still with you.
That's powerful, and it's interesting to me because whether that loss comes through a dog or a person or whatever, for us, especially as animal lovers, it hurts the same. You're missing a big chunk of your life that was there that is now physically not there anymore. And I find it interesting that in our society that we don't necessarily give this space and respect that that grieving process needs for an animal, for anybody, but especially for animals. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
It's hard. Yeah, it's almost worse. I mean, I think it's almost worse because animals are such recipients of our undivided love, undivided attention, unconditional love. Like they just are continual recipients of that, the focus of that. Of most families, the focus is the family animal, the family dog or cat or whatever, so that when that's removed, it's such a shocking reminder that we all have limited time on Earth. So I think it's a really amazing thing, that a creature so loved could be somehow just gone. And that's it is such a disruption in daily life. So that's why it's hard to deal with. But then people will say, well, it's just a dog. But it's really not. It's so much of a part of who we are.
Yeah. It's also, dogs and cats and these animals that we choose to bring into our homes and love. I mean, it's sort of engineered in a way that they're only going to be with us for a fraction of the time. I think they're almost there to sort of teach you how to grieve. And there's something very, I don't know, I feel like they're there for more than just the love that you can give them when they're on the earth. I think they're also there to help you learn how to grieve as well.
That's a really interesting point. As I mentioned at the top, my mom passed away 3 years ago. My mom, then a couple months later, my mom. They were my two rocks in my life. And interestingly enough, my dog has been incredibly. It's weird how in tune he is to me, and has actually helped me with my own grief. I was going through some of my mom's stuff the other day as I'm bringing it to my house and, going through it. And I hadn't even started crying yet. I had taken out something and hadn't even started crying yet. And he just sensed something, came and jumped on the couch and just put his head on my shoulder. And I'm like, how did you even, a tear hasn't even been shed. I was getting there, but a tear hadn't even been shed yet. And he just knew somehow. And, to your point, Jesse, not only do they teach us about grief in that unconditional love and support that they give us, but they teach us about grief because of their shortened, comparatively to us, their shortened lifespans. Did either of you ever have, a dog that or animal of any kind that just was, just a devastating loss?
Yes. I just, I really had a hard time getting over the loss of my first dog in adulthood, and it was really just something I didn't really know how to cope with. And I think, I'm still grieving, and it's just the price that we pay, for living with animals. It's just part of that. I have a very, very big animal household, so there are very many members of my family. So but I know that that's the cost of it is that they do live much shorter lifespans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about for you, Jesse?
I have two dogs. My older dog, Justin, and I got when we first started dating, and he's starting to get, he's getting older, and he can't really hear, or maybe he has selective hearing. We're not really sure yet. Because sometimes he miraculously can't hear when people arrive. I'm like, oh. He's like, I can't hear you when you're calling me. But I'm already anticipating what it's going to be like when he passes. And, Justin and I, neither one of us are really ready for that. And it is exactly what you said, Margaret. I think that there's that thing that people don't really until you've had a dog in your family or in your life, you don't understand what it's going to be like to lose that dog. I mean, that bond is very, very powerful, and it is unconditional love that they give you. And I'm dreading the day that I lose my first dog, and it's going to happen at some point in the near future. I mean, I'm just treasuring every day I have with them.
Yeah, that's been it's similarly Blue. I have a rescue pit, and he is my, as I told you, kind of like my rock. And I've similarly, especially with the loss in my life in the last few years, I'm like, geez, at some point he's going to be gone. And it's kind of made me be like, you know what? I don't feel like going around the block 3 times today, but I'm going to do it because I don't know how much time you have left. And I might have another 8 years with him. I have no idea. But, I'm like kind of pre-grieving now, which, as to your point, Margaret, is a testament to the love that we have for them and they have for us. It really is a beautiful kind of symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's like we have them for part of our lives, and we're their whole lives. I mean, that's the thing. Is the truth is we are their 100% whole lives.
Oh, Lucia.
What's that?
Adorable.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, Lucia was on set with us every day.
She was on set with us. She was really good, except one day she had diarrhea. That was the day when we were shooting.
So did Mommy.
I had diarrhea throughout the production. I'm always going to have diarrhea, but she doesn't have it that much. She had it in one day when we were shooting some of the office scenes. That was the only time she whined a little bit.
No.
She was right off of the camera. Whenever I work, she's right off of the camera, so she's just right there, giving me encouragement.
Oh.
She's really.
Yeah. In your eye line when your co-stars don't want to stick around.
I do almost my acting to her. Really incredible force.
She is adorable.
Yes, thank you.
And Jesse, do you bring any of your animals as as part of your role gigs?
No, I brought my larger dog Sam to the set of Modern Family once, and it was fun. But he's so big, he's very intimidating. And Leaf, my firstborn, is a little morky, and he's just very yappy. So he would not, not allowed on set.
For the film, it's very interesting to me, not only in what it's speaking directly to about grief and loss of a beloved pet, but life changes in how it ripples in its effects. So while yes, there's an immediate loss in that beloved animal, but it kind of ripples out in our lives to other things, as we see with with Emma and Stan. Was that part of what attracted you to the script, to the film as you were reading? It goes much deeper, multi-layered than it initially seems reading the log line or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Was that part of what drew you both to it?
Absolutely, because it really is just about assessing all of the things that are in our life that mean so much to us, and then she's sort of taking in stock of what she really cares about and what she wants to do and what she wants to be around and who she wants to be around. So I think the loss helps her to understand it, and that's what really I responded to, the honesty of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really beautiful.
Yeah, it's a very beautifully structured film about relationships, and it's sort of the catalyst of like where we're meeting all these people is with the passing of Emma's dog. But like I said, there's a lot of ripple effects with these other relationships. Emma's ex-husband, her best friend who I play, her daughter who Alice plays. It's a really beautiful film, but I think at the core, it's about relationships and about being there for one another during times of grief. And it's also, listen, Margaret and I are in it, so you have to understand it's also funny.
Right.
It should be said it is funny. Yeah.
Yes,
not all are funny, but there are some really funny moments.
There very much is, and it to me that is a reflection of life. We have the ups and the downs, the laughs and the tears, the loss and the life. And that's why it really hit. The film really hits for me. It's such a beautiful film, and you both are so amazing in it. What do you want someone that comes in and watches the film? What do you want them most to take from it?
I hope they can connect with what is really the beauty of grief, to not have a judgment about it, and to really kind of understand that this is just another part of life, and it can be as beautiful and as tragic as every other part. So I think that it's in its own way a sort of celebration of when we feel a loss. It makes us take a real look at what else is there and what else is happening and how we can live the rest of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. And Jesse, how about you?
I hope people take away how fantastic Margaret is in this film and how hot I am.
He's so hot in it.
I'm so sexy in this movie.
It's so amazing. He's so hot in it. It's really his motorcycle and everything. He's so hot.
Yeah.
I thank you both. You are both just extraordinary, talent, artists, actors, comedians, and it is a pleasure both to speak with you and to watch you perform in all that we love. I can't wait for everybody to see this movie. Congratulations on it. It is really a triumph.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Margaret Cho and Jesse Tyler Ferguson. I realized that I had like a kind of a Modern Family reunion, having Ed O'Neill and Jesse Tyler Ferguson all on the same episode of Pop Culture Weekly, which is kind of cool. All right, that's our show for this episode. All That We Love. Go see it. It is incredible. Clipped on FX. Watch it. It is incredible. Hit podcast.popcultureweekly.com to get all of the extras and, extras, all that stuff. For any episode of Pop Culture Weekly, including this one. It's a pretty cool site that we put a lot of time into to kind of make an interconnected thing. So if you liked my interview with Margaret Cho, you can go and see all the interviews I've done with her, that sort of thing. So it's a really cool resource. All right. I will see you next week. I love you. We out.
Thank you for listening to Pop Culture Weekly. Hear all the latest at popcultureweekly.com.
It's a Modern Family reunion. It's a Modern Family reunion. It's not an old, outdated family reunion. It's a Modern Family